comes at me with the knife. Why so serious? He sticks the blade in my mouth. Let's put a smile on that face.
Why does it matter what criminals think about you? What's the big deal? Knowing how they think gives you the signs of what to look for, how violence can escalate, how serious the threat can be. For example, if the guy's robbing you, if he says, "Give me your money or I'm going to kill you," does he really mean it? Well, understanding how a criminal thinks also gives you an understanding how they're likely to use a knife.
The psychology is really to do with aggression and attack and violence, and the mentality of aggression, attack and violence.
If someone has the intention of using a knife to commit a crime, that's very different to someone using a knife to attack you with a high degree of violence, because you are the target of the violence. I guess the difference between being viewed as a vehicle and an object is whether you're the target of the violence or not. And this does differ from someone who views you as a vehicle for their aggression, a vent for their frustration.
I get into a scuffle with a guy, bang, look, what's up? And before you know it, we're arguing. We're arguing over something very simple. The simpleness could be the heat, the weather, you stood on my foot, whatever it is. But either way, we're arguing. What happens is, during the confrontation escalates to a knife draw.
Imagine a guy screaming and shouting at you. For whatever reason, he's having a bad day, maybe he's just got fired from work. Whatever the reason it is, you aren't the direct target of violence, but you're there at that point in time. In that sense, you are the vent, and he could explode.
And then he draws his weapon, go boom, and sticks me, right? That's one way of looking at a weapon draw.
Now here's my point. He's unlikely to have planned his offence. I say unlikely, but it doesn't mean he's not likely to offend. But he's unlikely to have planned his offence, but most importantly, this is the opportunity in which you can fight back. Under these circumstances, the guy might be angry, he might throw a punch, but this is where we start to look at the issue of weapon draws. This is where he draws his weapon.
We're fighting, and he's on the bad end of that fight. What's he going to do? Draw a weapon. Because I don't know anybody who wants to lose a fight, and if he's got a weapon at hand, he'll either go to his weapon straight away if he thinks he's going to lose.
So this is important, because being viewed as a target of the violence, in terms of using a weapon like a knife, knives can be used for many reasons. They can be used to coerce you. Someone pulls out a knife, he puts it to your throat, and he asks for all your money. That's a coercive behaviour. That's very different to someone that's angry, that pulls a knife and tries to stab you repeatedly out of anger, for whatever reason, whether it be ego, whether it be frustration, whether it be blind rage. The use of the knife is very different to someone that's trying to demand something off of you. Now, I'm not suggesting that someone won't stab you and then rob you. What I'm highlighting is the use of the weapon, and therefore the use of violence, is very different depending on how the criminal thinks and directs his behaviour towards you. If he thinks of you as an object, he will use his knife differently. If he thinks of you as a vehicle, a vent for his frustration, anger, or for whatever bad day he's having, especially in his hero narrative, then the use of the knife will be very, very different. This in itself gives you an understanding of when to fight back, how to fight back, and what to do.
If someone has a knife and they're coming at you and the knife's already out, you're probably as good as dead. The only time you have an opportunity to be able to defend yourself is when the person's drawing a knife.
So the most important thing is to try to identify the situation.
If you're walking down a street and someone is walking along and they're swinging a knife and they already have a knife out brandish, then that person definitely means you harm.
Coercive crimes such as robbery or extortion require threat for them to be implemented. And a threat gives you a chance, it gives you an option, but it also gives you an indication that it's a coercive behaviour, and therefore you have some degree of survivability and even perhaps the ability to fight or comply. This differs from when the person views you as a vehicle, because they won't give you the chance. This is the ambush attack. This is a sudden frenzied stabbing attack is very, very difficult to deal with.
So generally from this position, as he's drawing, my job, and it is always to be aware of where the hands are and getting to the hand.
Understanding how a real criminal thinks can give you the signs of attack, can help you figure out when the guy's going to attack, and if he really means you harm or not.
When I'm in combat, it's really important that I control the arms, and this is why I like martial arts where they call fighting styles, like Wing Chun even, that control the arms. Bang. Because if he tries to draw his weapon, I've got much more of an ability to control, stop, and keep control of the situation and stop it.
As I said before, if a guy views you as an object for their crime, for example robbery, then you are standing in the way of their narrative. They want whatever they can get, whatever they can achieve from you, and in that sense, their violence towards you will be instrumental. Aimed at you, but most importantly to control you, to restrain you, to restrict your movements. Knowing that, you know if someone's viewing you as an object for their crime, then you know that they're more likely to be planned. They're more likely to catch you off guard, put you in a helpless position. In that case, situational awareness is much more effective. Develop a sense of environmental awareness. Know what's around you. Look in advance, look ahead. See what's in front of you. Are there potential choke spots? Are there blind spots? Are there points in the street that you can't see around you? This is where likely a robbery could happen. This is how someone who's instrumental in their use of violence would act. Situational awareness is trying to avoid the choke spots, trying to avoid places where you can't escape. Identify which is which and prepare your self-defense accordingly. This can make a difference.
Thanks for watching anyway. Keep with us. Have a good day.